If your to-do list keeps getting longer, the pressure keeps getting heavier, and somehow you're getting less done, you're not broken, you're overwhelmed. And when everything in your elopement photography business feels important, your brain freezes. In this episode, I'm breaking down how to release the pressure, calm your nervous system, and take small, fast actions that actually move your business forward. Welcome to Stoked, the podcast that helps adventure elopement photographers hit six figures and beyond in their businesses without hustling on social media. I'm your host, Megan McPhail, a former burnt-out emergency veterinarian that quit my hard-earned career to become an elopement photographer. Now I'm living a life I absolutely love, full of travel, adventure, and financial abundance, and I am hell-bent on helping you do the same. Are you ready to start booking out your calendar with dream couples in breathtaking locations and feeling genuinely stoked about your elopement photography business, life, and bank account? Then let's dive into this week's episode. Hey, it's your host, Megan McPhail.
And your co-host, Todd Reedy.
I never know if he's going to say his last name or not. So today's episode is all about what to do when you feel overwhelmed working on your business. And this is super common. We've had a few photographers inside the Elopement Photographer Mastermind that have been feeling overwhelmed, even though we give them kind of like a step-by-step process of things to do. But overwhelm happens. I feel overwhelmed quite frequently. And so you have to notice it and be self-aware. That's always, we say this all the time on this podcast. It's like the first step of fixing anything in your business is self-awareness and naming it and then what to do about it. So yeah, we're going to talk all about overwhelm. So what is overwhelm? Overwhelm basically happens when you have a really zoomed out view of your business and there's too many decisions, there's too much pressure, and it really leads to this kind of like frozen state, the state of paralysis where you can't really move forward because you have too many decisions, too much decision fatigue. You're afraid of choosing the wrong thing to work on, or you're putting too much pressure on yourself as far as, you got to be perfect. You got to move fast because everything feels urgent. You need to not mess things up, or you have bills coming up and you need to make bookings like right now. And it's like the story that you've created for yourself.
I think the biggest thing of that list that resonates with me is that really zoomed out picture of seeing all of the things that you feel that you have to do. And yeah, you may have all those things to do, but you don't have to do them all at once. But for the reasons like you mentioned, like a bill coming due and needing a booking, like an urgency has been presented that makes you think that you have to do everything perfectly and done to like complete your business.
Yeah.
Which is unrealistic for anyone, whether you're a newbie, you have a team, you've been doing this for decades, whatever it is, like doing everything in your business is impossible.
Yeah. Especially all at once.
All at once, yeah. Under the pressure of whatever is making it feel urgent.
Yeah. And so I often feel overwhelmed with business, but Todd feels overwhelmed when it comes to house projects. Do you want to like share a little bit about that?
Yeah. And this was one of the kind of bigger things that I wanted to talk about in this episode was as a solo entrepreneur, or even if you do have a small team, whatever it is, we're balancing our business and we're balancing our life. And those have merged, most likely, like on any given day, you're probably doing both. It's not as simple as you can leave your 9 to 5 when you clock out and then you don't have to worry about it again until you clock back in. We constantly have all of our life problems while we're working on our business. And then we have our business problems while we're living our lives. So for me, my examples, we've talked about it for probably the last dozen episodes that we've been working on this chicken coop. And so this massive chicken coop project has been a huge source of overwhelm for me. One, it started with a very small scope and thinking that I was a really good carpenter and that I knew how to do everything and that it would be very quick. Fast forward 9 months later, we're still building this thing, but thinking that everything needs to be done perfectly and that it needs to be done by this date. There's no like chances to like make upgrades, like needs to be designed in perfectly and built perfectly the first time, that our chickens are going to die if they're not in the best coop that's perfectly executed and done. Yeah, like all the things that comes along with a big construction project.
Yeah. And I had to constantly remind you like, relax, it's okay. As long as there's like a roof over their heads, I'm happy. Let's not put so much pressure on ourselves and not get upset when it takes longer. You're not as good at it as you thought you were going to be and stuff like that. Because ultimately, we have a great chicken coop.
Yeah, with a lot of blood, sweat, and tears
Yeah.
and anxiety.
Yeah. Yep. So let's talk about overwhelm tends to lead to this paralysis, this freeze state of our nervous system. Our nervous system doesn't feel safe moving forward with things for our business when we have too many decisions and too much pressure. And so what I like to tell people when they are feeling overwhelmed, instead of having this zoomed out big picture view of like, I got to get my website done, I've got to blog things, I got to start my ads, I've got to do a style shoot, I've got to do this, that, and the other thing, like whatever you have on that big, long to-do list, how can we zoom way in to something really little and kind of release the pressure and allow our nervous system to feel safe taking action? So really you want to kind of like lower the stakes, instead of telling yourself this story that everything has to be perfect and done immediately and I have to be great at this right off the bat, which is what's going to create your overwhelm. Start telling you this story that like, hey, I'm going to have fun with this. I'm going to do something that's really little and easy because me being in a freeze state is not going to help my business, right? So you have to kind of rewrite the story that you're telling yourself that's creating all this pressure and all this decision fatigue. And a lot of times, we want to make the like perfect next move. But I don't want you to do that. When you're zooming way in on your business, I want you to pick something easy and fun that you can do to take action and get something done quickly, because action and speed are kind of your best friends when it comes to building your business. And what overwhelm does is it keeps us stuck in not only paralysis, but kind of like these thought loops where you're just thinking about your business all the time. But not really accomplishing anything. And so I want you to pick a super small action that maybe could be even enjoyable and that you can finish within like 15 minutes or something. And it could be something that isn't even going to move your business forward as far as getting a booking or something. But we need to get your nervous system out of this freeze that it's in and start you kind of like showing your nervous system like, oh, this is safe. I did this little teeny baby step. I spent 10 minutes on it. It was even kind of fun because I picked the easiest thing I could possibly do. It's not part of the lesson or part of the thing that's going to get me a booking, but it's going to get me out of this paralysis. And like your nervous system will be like, oh yeah, that was fun. That was cool. What's the next thing that we could do? And move on from there. And once you get used to taking actions, because actions always bring clarity. That's like one of my favorite quotes, is that actions bring clarity. And you get out of your head, because thinking will just keep you in business jail, essentially not being able to move forward on anything. Thinking is like your enemy. And Todd's laughing at me because he thinks and thinks and thinks and thinks all the time. And I'm more like, let's get something done, because once we get something done, we'll know what the next step is. You don't have to have each step of the staircase planned out to take that first step. That first step is going to show you the second step and then the third step. So we're kind of different in that way, where I'm like, okay, now I'm going to use a gardening analogy. We've been standing in our backyard trying to figure out where we're going to put these 4-foot by 8-foot garden beds on our property. And I'm like, let's build them and then put them out there and see what we like and where they fit and all that stuff. But I feel like Todd, before he even builds them, he wants to know where they're going to go, right?
Yeah. Well, that's just my makeup and like my past world of like, can't just wing stuff. But like in a garden, yeah, you can wing it.
Yeah.
And even turns out with a elopement photography business, you can wing that too.
Yeah.
And like see if it works and then change if it doesn't.
Yeah. So for me, I just feel like you take these little steps and each step reveals the next step. And if you try to have it all planned out perfectly before you even take the first step, that's where you're going to get stuck and never make forward progress. And I just want you doing little quick actions, little baby steps. Again, thinking is the enemy. Speed and action are your best friends in these scenarios, or just in business in general. So what can you do to prove to your nervous system that it's safe to do these things? And it could actually even be fun because we've released the pressure on ourselves, and we just need to start making that forward momentum to get rid of the overwhelm.
I'm going to circle back for a second to the idea of the too zoomed out scenario. And I've done this for lots of different projects. I've done it like on our house, but I've also done it for some of our like workshop planning of like basically writing down all of the, not like all of the baby steps, but all of the kind of big steps. And it seems overwhelming, but having it all in like one spot, I think was helpful to me to kind of like ease my internal anxiety about, hey, why haven't I made progress on my business or on this project? And if you do that brain dump of like all the different steps, it can kind of like show you like, yeah, you have 100 steps that you have to do or 100 things that need to be done. So yeah, that's why you haven't done them all, because you have 100 of them to do. But again, like,
and that's scary.
Super scary, right? But yeah, you make that full list, kind of start making that mental staircase, like back to your analogy of one step, and then yeah, picking the one thing to make progress on. But like when you think of the entire list as a whole, like that's scary as hell. There's no way I can get all this done.
But I think the other important part of what you just said is that you took everything out of your head and put it down on paper. That's really key, because I think, you know, even when we have our to-do list kind of written out sometimes, I think when we have all these thoughts swirling around in our head, it's really hard to, I mean, think of it as like a tornado in your brain. And you're trying to like pick one of the things in there and they keep just like swirling past. Like that's how my brain is a lot, you know? That's why people kind of get stuck, because you can't grab any of these swirling things in your head and focus on it. So I think brain dumps can be really good. And even like seeing your to-do list and like, yeah, in an ideal world, you'll pick the thing that will move the needle in your business and bring you bookings and stuff like that, you know, out of all the millions of things that you need to do. But we're trying to get out of a freeze state in this scenario. This isn't like a normal everyday scenario where you're like, ooh, what am I going to work on today? This is more for the people who are like, they look at their to-do list every day. They don't do anything because they're frozen and paralyzed. And then they rack up all this guilt and shame about it, and they just can't move forward. So this is when you could like do a brain dump or look at your existing brain dump to-do list and pick out one of the things that's easiest for you to do. If it's just any normal day and you're functioning well, which we all know we have days where we are not functioning. I feel like I've had a month of that, to be honest. Then yeah, you pick like the most, like a non-urgent thing that's going to like bring you bookings and blah, 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 and like whatever. But like if you're in a freeze state, then you got to do what would be the most fun for you to get you back into taking action and to show your nervous system that you're safe and that working on your business could be fun. So when I get into these freeze states, which happens a lot because I have really bad ADHD executive dysfunction. So sometimes my little baby step is literally just like, okay, I know I have a million things I want to do. I've brain dumped all of them. I'm picking the thing that seems fun to me. And now I just need to get my laptop from the other room. That's how zoomed in I am. Okay. And my little baby step task will be like, brick my phone. I'll use a little thing it's like an app that excludes me from all of my social media. Because we all know us with ADHD, we can get to scrolling for hours and get nothing done. So I'll brick my phone and then I'll be like, I just need to get my laptop from the other room. And I get my laptop. And then my next baby step is literally like opening my laptop. And then maybe pulling up Canva and creating a fun graphic or something that'll just get me moving.
So a little snowball action. Just get like one little thing, get the momentum. Then it's easier like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
I can keep doing this. Like,
yeah. And then I get one little fun thing done, or I start to bounce around, whatever. I don't make myself feel bad about any of it. And I just try to keep the momentum going. And then pretty soon I'm like, oh, there's this other thing I've been needing to do. I'm going to start doing that. And like, maybe I don't even finish these things. Okay. but I got the momentum going. And that's what I really want anybody who is in this freeze state, feeling so overwhelmed. I want you to, well, probably you should get an app that helps you disconnect from social media because that has been key. That definitely helps my executive dysfunction. But I want you to release the pressure on yourself. You don't have to be perfect and you don't have to work for like, this is another thing I want to talk about now. I'm ADHDing right now with you guys on the podcast. When you sit down and you're like, I'm going to work for 8 hours or something crazy, that's pressure. That's going to make you freeze too. That's not going to help. If you're just like, I'm going to sit down and work for 10 minutes on something dumb, low stakes, very low stakes, no stakes at all, zero pressure, just a little fun thing I'm going to do for my business. And then I'm going to give myself a little sweet treat and I'm going to walk around, I'm going to hang out with my chickens, and then I'm going to come back and I'm going to work for another 10 minutes. That's what I mean by like low pressure, low stakes that will get you out of your freeze response and will help your nervous system feel more safe so that you can do these speedy, quick actions.
So like probably, well, this is an assumption that a lot of our listeners may be more like you with some of those tendencies.
Yeah.
And others may not have those. So like my side, that wouldn't work for me that well. But I fall into the trap of have all these things, so I'm going to put in an 8-hour day. And I'm going to do all this busy work. I'm going to make myself feel good. But that's really not much progress there. Like I am perpetually falling into the busy trap, which then doesn't get you out of the overwhelm at all. It's just doing busy work.
So do you still feel overwhelmed when you're doing busy work? Because you don't have executive dysfunction. You just get things done constantly all the time.
Yes, but sometimes what I do isn't the right use of time. Or like the actions that I take don't necessarily get me out of that overwhelm. In my head, like, okay, I'm overwhelmed. I should probably do some things to like alleviate that overwhelm by getting some tasks done. And those tasks that I choose sometimes are the easy ones that they're just busy work to fill that 8-hour day that makes me feel better a little bit about, oh yeah, I worked hard today.
Yeah, I was on my computer for 8 hours, so gold star for me.
Yeah. Turns out in entrepreneurship, that doesn't pay the bills.
Yeah. Yes.
If you're at a 9 to 5, just being there for 8 hours, that pays the bills.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that brings up a good point where it's like, as I'm telling you guys to do kind of fun, busy work to get yourself out of a freeze state, you have to at some point switch over. Once you have built up that momentum and you're like, I'm getting things done, I'm working on my business, I'm feeling good, then you got to switch over to the things that matter. And like that would be the non-urgent tasks, so the things that don't have deadlines, like for a lot of the people in the mastermind, it is getting your website redone and finished. They can take a long time doing that. And then like planning styled shoots or blogging, like these are all things that are important for your marketing, but don't have a deadline because it's not like you have to get this finished by a certain period of time, right? Like a gallery or something. Like galleries always end up getting finished because they have certain deadlines. It's not normally things that give you instant feedback either. So there's no like instant gratification to give you that dopamine boost, It's like very delayed gratification. So those are the things kind of people struggle with that they then have to like prioritize doing in the first thing before they start anything else. So you do have to kind of like switch over to, instead of just doing busy work, fun stuff that gets you going, you need to switch over to the things that actually matter. Because busy work, just because you put in a solid 8-hour day, 5 days a week, which I don't recommend, by the way, doesn't mean you're going to get bookings and inquiries, right? You've got to be putting your actions into the right things. But yeah, it's interesting how much we differ. But I do think most of my mastermind members are more like me, where they get overwhelmed and they just don't get anything done for a while. And then they have guilt and shame because they haven't done anything for weeks. And then bills are coming up and they're like, oh my God, I haven't done any of this work. I suck,
Yeah.
And like that's a whole spiral. But yeah, so depending on who you relate with the most. Actually, that'd be fun to hear if anybody relates more with Todd. You should DM us. yeah, release the pressure. Do a brain dump if you need to so your brain isn't swirling around with all kinds of ideas. Choose something quick and easy because speed and actions are your friends. They bring clarity. Build up some momentum. And you got to rewrite whatever story you're telling yourself inside that is creating so much pressure, because I see that delaying success in businesses more than anything is like the stories we tell ourselves. So, yeah, if you're feeling overwhelmed, hopefully this podcast episode helps. But yeah, just take some baby steps. We'll talk to you later. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks so much for joining us on this week's episode of Stoked. If you enjoyed the show and you'd like to help support the podcast, please subscribe, leave a review, and tell a friend. If you're looking for more inspiring elopement photography content, check us out on Instagram at Megan McPhail. And if you'd like to hear more about my business coaching and how I can personally help you hit 6 figures as an elopement photographer, then check out my website at www.meganmcphail.com.